I honestly think that being Black is training ground for doing your job under duress.
So obviously, when you guys are involved in these kinds of exchanges, it becomes huge on social media. It goes viral. It becomes a topic to be discussed. So, and Yamiche, I'll start with you on this question. How do you handle that aspect of it, that you've now gotten into a confrontation with the president, and it's a little bit bigger than just you doing your job and asking the president a question? It becomes a huge thing. So how did you handle that, kind of when that happened, and how you've handled it since?
Well, I remember in the moment feeling like my ancestors are carrying me through, because I remember being very focused, very solid. I didn't flinch. I watched that video over and I thought, yeah, I did a good job. And I felt like I did a good job because I just stayed laser focused on the job and stayed professional. And the way that I handle that is first by calling my mom and telling her, hey, calm down. You're going to see some news clips of me. Your family's, the whole family from Haiti is going to be calling, asking what happened, and just chill out a bit. Because I think my mom gets, and frankly, my family gets a little worried, because when you go viral, it can be scary for people involved, meaning that you can end up with a lot of hate online, a lot of Facebook hate, a lot of Twitter hate, and people can get nervous, frankly. So I think that's the first thing that I do. The second thing that I do is I try my best to focus on the work and to try to focus on, well, what is the next story I want to do? What's the next thing that I want to do? How do I want to handle this? How do I continue to be professional and acknowledge that for the people who are supporting me without playing too much into this? Because at the end of the day, when you're a reporter, your job is to not be the story. So going viral can be really, I think, disconcerting and can be very, very conflicting if you're a journalist who's just been so used to trying to be behind the scenes and trying not to be part of the story. So even as an on-air reporter, like, of course, my face, you see my face, I'm delivering the news, but I never want to be, well, here's what happened to me today at the White House. And a couple of times, unfortunately, I've had to say, well, here's what he said to me personally.
What about you, April? How did you start to handle some of these confrontations? Which, by the way, I mean, President Trump is one part of it, but you've had confrontations with Sean Spicer, with Sarah Huckabee Sanders, like literally with the whole cast. So
and the list goes on.
In those moments?
Daddy Huckabee, Daddy Huckabee. What's the woman over at HUD? I forgot her. I mean, the list goes on. And the sad piece about it is, I'm just here to do a job. I didn't sign up for this, but I'm here to do a job. But it's not about me. It's about the issue. It's about the story. We are still a community with the highest numbers of negatives in almost every category. And before Yamiche came there, before a lot of people came there, I was the only one asking a lot of those questions. And that's sad. And I'll never forget, Joy Reid said, April Ryan made asking questions about race in vogue, because everybody's now asking. And that's the sad piece. But because the history of me asking the questions about a community that they didn't want to talk about raised their ire, they attacked me. They went after me personally when it was about the story that they didn't like, but they wanted to go after me, who's not from a larger network, who didn't have the infrastructure or the support system that they thought. They went after me in the worst kind of ways. And the residue still lingers. And this is something that I'm still dealing with emotionally, mentally, and physically. I had to move my physical home because of people not understanding civics, understanding this is the natural political back and forth. Reporters asking questions of a president, the accountability piece, the First Amendment. I've had the bomb squad at my home. I've had to have bodyguards. So a reporter in 2020 in the United States having to go through that's unheard of. And when, Yamiche says she called her mother, but when you are standing in front of this president at the first press conference that he's ever had, and you ask him about his urban agenda, and then he proceeds to tell you to get the meeting together with the Congressional Black Caucus, and your daughter is in school looking at current events and sees it in real time and text message you, "Mommy, are you okay?" I'm like, "Yes, baby, I'm great." And I'm dying on the inside. I don't know about Yamiche. When those things happen to me, it's like I get crazy fire on this. I'm like, "Oh my God, what's going on now?" I wasn't prepared for this. I did not sign up for this. But at the end of the day, I stand on the shoulders of my late mother, my late father, my ancestors, my great-great-grandfather, Joseph Dollar Brown, who was sold on the auction block in Fayetteville, North Carolina, never knowing that his great-great-grand will be standing in front of the President of the United States asking questions about our people. So that's, if there is any bright spot in it, and if it advances the cause of our people, all right.
So how do you both maintain your composure? Because as you probably know from talking to your peers, talking to your friends, and probably your family, a lot of us that are watching you, I'll be like, "Yo, does she need me to pull up? Because I'll pull up. Like, what we got to do right
Oh,
now?
we've seen you pull up. We've seen you pull up.
I'll be like, who we got to roll on? Yamiche,
Who
we got to get.
We've seen you pull up. Oh, yes, we have.
Pull up.
I know you will.
Right? So at that point, and I know me, the way my temperament is built, like as reporters, we are sort of have to learn that art of having somebody respond, often in a negative fashion, because we know this. We know people are we are low-hanging fruit. People are going to vent toward us. Then when they don't like questions, they're going to come back at us.
But Jemele,
But
if
at
you
the
pull
same
up,
time, it's a line though, where I'm just like,
but if you pull up, because there are times, let me tell you something, don't think, trust and believe. Sean Spicer telling me to stop shaking my head, and I'm a grown woman with children.
You know what I'm saying?
And in my community, and Sarah Huckabee saying the stuff that she said, I'm ridiculous, and she's the ridiculous one. Trust and believe. I'm from Baltimore, but it's not about me. Because if as soon as Yamiche or April or Abby or anyone else in that room does the sister girl on the neck, be out of there. It's about us. That's not what it's about. We are true to this. We are not new to this. This is what we do for a living. So I get it. And I've had people say, "How could you sit there and let him say that?" Because you know what? My mother used to always say, she took this from Dr. King, "It's not what they call you, but what you answer to." I don't answer to that foolishness. And the reckoning for him is here. Whether he wins or loses the presidency, people now see. And if we were the conduit for them to see, we were. But if we get up there and do the sister girl, and let me tell you, I'm rolling up with Baby and them, it defeats the purpose. I mean, you get Yamiche, you know what I'm saying.
You feel that way too? Like, because I know sometimes I'll see that look and I'm like, right now in her mind, she's thinking like about 25 motherfuckers right now, and he don't even know.
So what I think is, I honestly think that being Black is training ground for doing your job under duress. I think that for a long time, I didn't realize it, but when you get through majority white elementary schools, you get through high schools where people don't think that you're going to make it to college. You get through, I went to Georgetown, majority white schools where people say things about you that you know not to be true, where people make assumptions about you that you know aren't true. And then you're working in majority white newsrooms where people are at times surprised by your intellect, or surprised that you can write well, or surprised that you can do your job well. You learn how to grin and smile and continue doing your job. And I think that for me, it's felt like that. It's felt like this has been my entire life. At the end of the day, I'm here to do the work of the people. I'm here thinking about my grandmother and my grandfather, who I don't even know what they would think about the fact that I am questioning the president, because they were born in a small village in Haiti and had no idea that we would even be able to come to this country, let alone be on TV, let alone be questioning presidents. So I think that Black people everywhere, when they walk up to me and say, "How can you possibly put up with this? How can you possibly do your job under duress?" I say, you're probably doing your job under duress. You probably have a supervisor who's told you something about yourself that's not true. You probably have somebody, a coworker, who probably stole your ideas and then showed up to the meeting and thought and talked about them like they were theirs. There are so many different ways that African Americans in particular are doing their jobs under duress, are living in this country under duress, that we smile and we grin and we work it out. And it's tough, but I think it's the way that we literally all are doing and surviving in this country.
Yeah, that's such a good point, because you're right. Like as Black people, we have to deal with micro and major aggressions all the time. So unfortunately, is that you're dealing with them by somebody who should frankly know better and is supposed to represent our country in a way that doesn't lend itself to this kind of pettiness. I mean, George Bush got a whole damn shoe thrown at him, and I never see him like.
Oh my God, that duck.
Right, I was like, he got a shoe thrown at him. I mean, they questioned Obama.
Two shoes too. It was the whole thing.
Yeah, 2 shoes, right? Like, and I never seen them, really act. Yeah, they would get maybe agitated and testy, but nothing like some of the shenanigans that we have seen from not just this president, but for also his administration.